Alright, chapter 10, problem solve. Again, be sure to download each one of them individually instead of using the zip, because if you don't extract it, it messes all kinds of things up. Okay, so the other thing is download the text file, but do not open it. Just know the name of it and leave it at that. Alright, so open the table in design view. So to do that, you can right click on it, or once you right click and open in design view. Okay, so we're going to put in an input mask for the phone number. So basically, if you're in your web pages or something, you might see that they already have parentheses around the phone number with dashes where it's supposed to be, or even your social security number, you just type it in, you don't have to put the dash in. Those are called input masks. Okay, so we're going to create one. Actually, we're just going to use one, we don't have to create it. Okay, so you're going to go to your phone field. Notice we have different data types here, and then down here in our field properties, so each field has different properties. Okay, so short text has this. If we look at auto number, it only has a few. Notice that? And then our phone has a whole bunch more. Okay, so I'm going to come down to this input mask line, click on it, and you notice I got 3 dots that pop up over here. So if I click on those, that brings up our input mask wizard. So literally I could actually come in here and add a new one. So basically you'd hit edit list, and lo and behold, it's a little database table, right? So you'd have to go to new and then name it, okay, if you were wanting to create a new one. Okay, so here's all the different ones that are already out there, and we're going to use the phone number because that's what we're working on. So I'm going to say next, and then so most of the time in your instructions it'll say, it'll show the number 555, 5555. Don't do that. Leave it as this default right here. And then the placeholder character is already an underscore. Okay, I could put a pound, okay, or an exclamation point. I could do anything in there, but we want to keep it as the underscore. And then click next. And we are going to save with symbols in the mask. So we want to save it looking like a phone number, not just a bunch of numbers. Okay, so then click next, and then click finish. And now you have this funky looking thing down here. And basically it's just saying start it off like this, and see these double quotes that's saying open parenthesis or close parenthesis, and then there's a dash, and it's just, that's what the input mask looks like. Okay, and then we're going to change our state field to 2 instead of 15. And we're going to change our zip code to 5 instead of 10. And then we can just save it. Now, the one thing about Access is it saves automatically, so I can just close my table. Well, it's going to ask you, but yes, I know some data is going to be lost. Yes, because I took my state from 15 down to 2 and my zip code from 10 down to 5. So it's just warning you that, hey, you might lose some data. Do you still want to continue? And in class, we're always going to say yes. In the real world, you want to verify that you're not going to lose anything if you were to do that. Okay? Now what I was going to say is in here, if I were to come in here and delete this record and hit delete, one, it's going to ask you, do you really want to delete this? And if I were to say yes, I can never bring it back. There's not an undo to bring back a deleted record. Okay? If I type something in here, I can hit the escape key and it takes it away. And then there's sometimes, until you've actually hit enter, there is an undo option. Alright? So just be careful of that. It saves pretty much everything automatically. Okay, so now we're going to import, so our problem 9, chapter 9, we imported from another database. Today, we're going to import from a text file. So if you just have the box, click the little box, the down arrow, and select TXT or text file. Okay, and then we're going to go look for that file. And again, it should be in your downloads, and it's called Planner DEC. So open, and we're going to import it into a new table, or we could import it to add on to records. So if I had a client file and wanted to add it to this file, I could do that by appending records to a table. Alright, but we're actually going to do it to a new table. So click OK. And here is the information in that text file. If you have it open, you cannot get to this step. Okay, so that's why I was saying do not open that text file when you download it. Just know where it is, and then you can go get it. Now, this is delimited by commas. Okay, now it could be fixed width. Right, it all depends on what kind of text file you get. But anyway, this one's a delimited. We're going to click next, and it already knows it's by comma. If we've done tab, we get nothing because it doesn't have a tab. Semicolon, okay, so all of this would be in one field instead of 4 separate fields. Alright, okay, so click next, and let's see, we're going to click next again. Yeah. And then we want to choose my own primary key. And it's going to be field 1. Okay, we could make it field 3 if we wanted, which would be really weird, but okay, field 1, and then next. And we're going to import it into TBL decorations. And finish. Now, if this was something that you're going to be doing every week or once a month or on a regular basis, you'd want to save it so that you don't have to go through that every time. This is only used if, like I said, if you're going to repeat this process multiple times. Okay, so click close. And now I have my table decorations. Now we're going to open it in design view. And remember, we brought all these in with just field names, or field 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to give them actual names. Okay, so this is going to be decoration ID. And then it's decoration. And it's going to be a short text. And we want to change it to 20 instead of 255. And then field 3 is color. And again, we're going to change that one to 10. And field 4 is category. And it's going to be 20. Okay, so decoration is 20, color is 10, and category is 20. And then we're going to add a description. Let's have data type and description. Okay, to my decoration ID, and it's going to say unique identifier for the decoration. Alright, okay, that's it. So we can close this. Yep, save it. Some data may be lost, and that's because we went from 255 characters down to 20 and 10 and then 20. So yes. Now we're going to create a new table in Table Design. And this is something called a junction table. So if I were to look at my events, my decorations, and my clients, the three tables that I have right now, they're not related. Okay, and that's really what an Access database is I'm relating different tables to each other so that I don't have to duplicate information. Okay, so notice I have client ID down here, and later we're going to connect these two tables. But I have all these decorations, but they're not connected to any events. So we have to make a table in the middle called a junction table that's going to connect our events to our decorations. Okay, so we'll get there. All right, so our first field is event ID, and that's a number, and it's a long integer. Okay, that's the default. And then we're going to put a description on here. Oh, we don't need one on this one. And then we're going to do decoration ID. It's also a number. It's a long integer. And then we're going to do number reserved. It's a number. Okay, and I mean, I don't have to read. Oh, yeah, I do. But, so this is, every time you see an ID, that's probably a auto-generated number or a key. Okay, so basically it's like your S number here at school, or your social security number, or your driver's license number, or your passport number. Okay, there's only one of those numbers associated with one person, right? So it's a one-to-one relationship. So I have only one ID to the number reserved. But this one, we're actually going to do what they call a composition or composite primary key. So we want to do both of these. So I'm going to hit event ID, control, and decoration ID. So both of them are selected. And I'm going to right click with my arrow going that way. I'm going to right click and set primary key. Oops, that didn't work. There we go. Okay, so both of them need to have their little key on it. So if you select them both and then right click, maybe on that line, maybe that's a, anyway, if you select them both, you can hit the primary key up here, a lot easier. Okay, so select both of them and then hit primary key. Okay, add the description of the number of decorations reserved. And then we're going to save this as TBL event decoration. And again, this is just a junction table. This is a table that's connecting my events to my decorations. Okay. Now we're going to go open the relationship window. Okay, so database tools, relationships. So the big deal about databases, and not just Access, is they're typically relational databases. Okay, meaning I create relationships between tables and I can manipulate and look at data based on those relationships. Okay, so we're going to put create a one-to-many relationship between client ID. Like I said earlier, I'm going to take my client ID and connect it to my tables, my event. Okay, so I only want one client. I don't need, you know, if you have 4 events this year, I don't need your name listed 4 times. I just need your name once, and then your event, date, time, location once for each one of those. Right, so that's what we're going to do, is we're going to relate this client to this event. Okay, so you click on it and then drag it on top of the other one. Okay, and you notice I've got table clients, client ID, table events, client ID, and then I want to enforce integrity, meaning I want to keep this relationship good, so to speak. Okay, I don't want to update or delete any of these. Okay, create. And now if you look at it, I have a 1 to infinite relationship. It's a 1 to many relationship. One client, many events. Alright, now we're going to add the event decoration to the window. Okay, the one we just created. I need to put it over here. So I'm going to grab it, drag it over. Alright, now I'm going to connect my event ID to event ID, enforce integrity, and decoration ID to decoration ID, enforce integrity. Now, in class, someone asked, does it matter which way I go? It does not. Notice it still took my table decorations, even though I just clicked here and drag it this way, it went this way. It knows there's only one of these and many of these. Okay? So again, 1 to many, 1 to many. Alright? Okay. Let's see. Now we're going to create a relationship report, and then all you do is push this button right here, and we have our relationship report. It says accept the default report name, so I'm just going to click save. Okay, and then close it, and close it again, and then we're going to close our relationships window. Okay, so now we're going to type in some information into our event decoration table. So right now there's nothing in here. Okay, so we're going to type in event ID is 3, decoration ID is 7, and number reserved is 4, and then 3, 9, and 40, and 3, 17, and 4. Now these numbers don't mean a lot to us, and that's usually what, when you look at a junction table, this is really a lot what it looks like. Just a bunch of numbers. Alright, so if I really wanted to know, I can go look at table events. Okay, so we're looking at event number 3, so it's a training seminar that's in the City Conference Center. Alright, starts at 7:30 in the morning. So that's our training seminar. Now if we go look at our decorations, we have 7, 9, and 17. So 7 is blue tablecloths, white napkins, and candles with flowers. Okay? They're silver. So that's what we just connected these events to these decorations using this table. Alright, so close. Now we're going to create a report. So create report wizard. And we want, we're going to do several things. So we want the client's last name, first name, and then we want the event date. Oops. I want the event date, and then I want the decoration and the color. And notice I don't have to put my IDs over here. Okay, because we created this relationship, we can get all of this information that we're asking for. And then we want the numbers reserved. Okay, next. How do you want to view your data? We're going to view it by client. And then next, we want any grouping. And it says default grouping. Okay, and then we're going to sort by decoration in ascending order. Click next. And then we're going to do a landscape orientation. Okay, next, and we're going to call this RPT event decorations. And like I said, we're nearly always going to modify it because this is the report title, and we probably don't want that as a report title. Alright, event decorations. Alright, finish. And then we're going to modify the report. It says to move to layout view. Okay, but I can do that in design view as well. But I'll just show you layout view, and we're going to change the name to event reservations by a student, and then save and close, and then close the database. And now you can submit this one for grading.